Hi, everyone. My name is Kate. I am so thrilled to be hosting this webinar this evening or this morning, depending on where you are in the world, where you're joining us from. Today, we're going to be talking about Phrase TMS for the linguist role. And I'm going to post the link to the Slido in the chat, but you can go to slido.com and enter the word phrase, and you can ask questions as we go along. I'll post the link in a second. I'm thrilled to introduce David, who's going to take us through this demonstration today. And David, handing it over to you for the agenda.
All right. First on the agenda should probably be a beef and mushroom from Pie Face, because I'm dying ever since I saw the Australian linguist team post something. I'm hungry now. So if you can help with that, fantastic. If not, yeah, we'll have some fun. We're going to go through some basics in the translation management system. Very light on the project management. So if you want to get into more on project management, we do have upcoming webcasts. We'll tease those a little bit at the end of the session. But we're going to look at getting signed into the platform, updating your profile. We're going to look at what linguists will see from a project assignment perspective. Spend a little bit of time talking about getting jobs and projects in there. So you can be ready and well-versed when you're dealing with your project managers. We'll look at jobs and the job pages, get into the editing tools, the cat pane, some resources where you can get help, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. And please, 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 I welcome your Q&A. This is your time. Want to make sure you get the most out of it. So with that, Kate, I think we're ready to go ahead and pop right in. And if you see anything super cool come across on Slido, feel free to jump right in, and we'll take it as it comes. I think we have at the moment all of 18 people, so we can have some fun here. Get your questions in. We might be able to get them all answered. So let me share out my screen here. And as you might guess, I am an American. I'm from Florida, which means I have multiple weird accents, not just one. So if you need me to repeat anything, pop that into the questions as well. So getting started, going to Phrase and getting signed up. Phrase.com is the homepage. You can start from there. The big shiny login button is going to be right there near the top. I do have multiple screens open at the moment, so we're going to move a little bit back and forth so we don't have to wait for pages to load and some of that stuff. So you'll see some different colors flash across the sky here on my screen. But once you click login from phrase.com, you will be presented with a sign-in screen. If you haven't already signed up, you can go ahead and sign up. You will have options to use your own email. If you are working for a language service provider that uses Phrase, or if you are working for a company that uses Phrase, you'll probably be assigned a username. But if not, you can sign up with the socials, GitHub, LinkedIn, all the fun meta stuff is there as an option as well. And once you get signed in, you will be presented with the different pieces of the platform to which you have permission. There are other things in the suite that aren't currently appearing on my screen because my user doesn't have permission. But here we see the translation management system, phrase strings, and our custom AI tool. Once you are in and signed in, there are some things that you can do with your profile that will be a big help. Getting your name in there. If you have an image that you want to include, personalize it a little bit, you can take care of it there. From security, keep your passwords strong, people. If you are into two-factor authentication, and do recommend it, you can go ahead and get two-factor configured from here. So let's keep everything nice and secure. Some people might belong to more than one organization. If you're a freelance translator, this is probably going to be your case, where you can belong to more than one organization to have work coming your way. Sometimes we have pro bono translators who are working with an agency that's doing some humanitarian work, so you might have multiple organizations there. I do recommend, please get your language and time zone in there so that your project managers can have an idea of where you are. And you can always pop in and check your login history to see when you've been in. Probably don't do that too often, but that is a nice security step to go in and see who's signing in. Getting your profile set up, straightforward, nothing too crazy there. If I jump in to the full TMS as a project manager, you're going to see a lot of things here that project managers see. And the TMS is really focused around working with projects, assigning jobs. So the jobs will be the basic unit of work that can be assigned to someone to perform. And those jobs will be based off of the workflow that's being executed. So in a project, we can define a multi-step workflow, and we'll have any number of target languages. I have a fictitious, silly little project here where I've got a bunch of different languages, and I have a two-step workflow. So I have a few other files that have been uploaded, some JSON, some IDML, PowerPoint, and you can see that for every file, there is a job for every language for every step of the workflow. So my workflow is a revision step and a quality assessment step. I'm looking at the revision list right now. Sorry, I hid the revision list. So I can see that there's revision job for this file for Haitian, for British English, for Canadian French, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These can get assigned out by project managers. These files, the content to be translated can be uploaded manually by a project manager. So they can come in and they can hit the new button and then upload from their desktop. They can upload from any online repository that we might be connected to. Or, of course, they can upload from their desktop, just like you would expect. Okay? So once content has been loaded into a project and broken up into jobs, those jobs can be assigned out. And for the next step, there'll be some variation depending on if you're working for a private company, an enterprise that has its own instance of phrase strings. If you're working for a language service provider, there'll be a little bit of variation. You can see that in some of these jobs here, I have providers already assigned. Provider is phrase nomenclature for the person who's responsible for performing the task, whether that task is straight up translation work, post-editing work, quality assessment work. You're the provider of that work. So I have some individuals named. I have some organizations named. So this is a company who's working with a couple of different language service providers, and we've assigned some tasks. So if I move to a different screen, I'm actually signed in as a project manager for an LSP, fictitious LSP, mind you. And I've got the jobs view. So I can come in here and customize how this all looks. I can navigate around and I can look at all the projects. Yeah, go ahead, leave my page here. I can see the projects to which I've been assigned. My team has been assigned, so I can dive right into that. I can see just the jobs view. So sort of strip away the project filters. And then I can tweak this to my liking. So however it is you need to think about your day, maybe we group by project, maybe we group by language pair, maybe we filter down just to the things that were created in the last day, and save those changes as a view so I can quickly see them again. So here's the project that I was looking at earlier. I have 4 jobs across each of 3 languages. So now I can either start working these jobs or I can assign these to specific people. So I could say this one needs to go out to Carl. Done. And we can give this to Carlos. You can see the sophisticated pattern I've selected for assigning work. Now, what will happen is as I assign people work, their names are there. They will get an email saying, "Hey, guess what? You've got some work to do now. You can go ahead and pop in and take a look at that." So if I say for Carl here, let's go ahead and look at Carl's email and refresh that. Watch, Carl hasn't gotten his email yet. It's always the way with demos. The email doesn't catch up as quickly as we like. That's fine. But I can look in Carl's list of jobs. I had that open earlier. So let's refresh that. There we go. So these are the two documents from today that just got assigned. I can see my word count. I can see the things that are going on here. I can select these. I can accept to do the work. I can choose to decline the work. I can open up a preview. So let's say I want to look at this file. I'll get a nice little warning that says you haven't accepted the work yet, but I can choose to open it as read-only if I need to take a look and decide if I can take it now or if I need to save it for later, or decline the work and have someone else take it. So we'll open up. This is an IDML file. We're getting a little bit of IDML text up here. We'll need to look at that, take a look, and we can start to see our content in action. Now, I can start working on translations. I can actually, before I do that, I'm still read-only. So if I decide that I want to work on this, I will mark this job as accepted. And now I can start making my edits. Okay. So first off, we do the segmentation, pretty much what you'd expect: source language in the first column, target language in the second column. I do have candidate translations already here because I'm a demo guy and I cheat. So I've got some machine translation happening in the background to make sure that we're not looking at blank screens, because nobody wants to watch me type. That is no fun. So what's up here? We've got some term-based suggestions, and we have some machine translation. Well, this is a brand, so this is obviously not a good translation. So I can copy source to target. I know I want to do that, and I will approve the segment, and the segment will move on. So now I do have, I got a term-based cleanup issue here because these are words that shouldn't be in a term base, but we'll push forward. If we look in the cat tool, these candidate translations will tell you where they came from. So in this case, it's coming from machine translation, and it has a translation quality score. Okay, what this score is trying to tell us is whether or not this is a reasonably trustworthy machine translation effort, or if it's something that, man, it needs to be edited, it needs to be reviewed. Go ahead and do what you need to do to get in there. If we had translation memory matches instead of the quality score, we would see the translation memory matches come through, and it would tell us what our bands were, if it was 100%, 101%, etc. Okay, so the idea here is great. We can run through and we can approve the segments that need to be approved. I can, of course, come in and do some filtering. Maybe I just want to see the segments that haven't been confirmed yet. So we'll pull those out and take a look at those, be able to work through those. If we need to join segments, if we need to split segments, all of that is an option. And of course, for the document formats that support it, down here we do see a live preview. This is navigable. So if I select a piece of text down here in the preview, it will take me to that spot in the cat pane so that I can review it, prove it, do what's necessary. Okay. Fair amount of tooling up here to make this happen, to work with the different tags that might be in place. Handle formatting, view hide special characters, split and join segments, all the things that you would expect to see in the translation editor for a high productivity space. These will be here inside the tool. Okay. I can see which translation memories I'm working with, which term bases I have access to. If machine translation is being used, what's the machine translation engine of choice? And if there's any reference material that's been uploaded to the project, I will have a notice here. Any notifications around this job? Don't have any at this point, but these might be alerts around status change. These might be alerts that there is a comment because we can leave comment on an individual segment. So I have other people on the team. We need to clean up the TB entries. They've been flooded. Right. That comment will now live with the segment. So as we go through different steps of the workflow, we'll be able to see that this comment was made. Okay. At some point, we'll just go ahead and let's see, confirming segments. There it is. Select all and confirm all segments. I'm going to cheat here. I know nobody should do that, but I want to finish up. You don't need to see me check the box 25 more times. And when I'm done, I'll say my work is done. It's completed. There we go. I'm now in read-only mode. When I close the editor, let's see. There's the IDML that I'm working on right now, phrase next MT one pager. If I refresh, my status is completed. My project manager, Carlos, when I refresh, his status will also say completed. Right. So we get that through to the project manager, and then it'll go all the way back to the end client for file delivery and move on to the next step in the workflow process. Okay. Let's see. Other core items, we saw filtering jobs, getting tucked into specific project elements. Let me show you an example. From another project. Show you a couple examples from a couple of different projects. So I think we have some things in here in this manual request project. Okay, yes. Oops. So we've got a PowerPoint file that we're opening up. We'll see a live preview of that. But we'll also see some more variation in the cat pane where, first off, There's our term base entry. We see that in place. We see machine translation scores, estimation scores for the quality of machine translation, and then we see matches. So we do have translation memory matches that are in flight. So we can see where they come from. We see the candidate translation. And if we look down below, we can see the name of the translation memory vault that it came from and some additional information. So where did this project come from? We can actually see context. So we can see previous and next segment without having to move out of the cat pane or ask for additional details. So we can make some decisions about whether or not that is really truly a great match for us to be using in this particular context. Now, there are opportunities in Phrase to automate a lot of actions based off of the source, based off of the context. So project managers will have the opportunity to do things like, pre-approve a segment based off of the strength of the translation memory match. They could even lock segments based off of the strength of the translation memory match. And of course, you can always come back in here and filter out and say, yeah, just show me the ones that that aren't locked, because I don't want to deal with them. And we can focus on the pieces that just need to be edited and move on with our day. Okay. If we have other complex formattings, let's say, for example, we're getting content that uses something like ICU message formatting for software development projects. We can accept those formats. Go ahead and put that up. And there's a few different things that we can see for ICU pluralizations, embedding. Different elements might be handled a little differently based off of the complexity. Things like pluralization, ICU pluralization, we automatically expand out. So, for example, English has some different rules than Spanish for what they expect for polarization. So we'll expand that out automatically. If you're touching a more case complex language like Hungarian, Polish, we'll add the additional cases that need to be here automatically. So you'll be warned that those need to be addressed for completeness of the translation. All right. Now, if you are in a position where you are stuck, you're running into some trouble, there's a few things that you can do. You can go out to Phrase help chat. I'm Fraser. Okay, that's cute. And you can start a chat, and our team will work with you to get you through whatever technical issues that you are facing. You can also go out to phrase.com and hit up the support center. Okay. So we have our documentation out here. It is pretty well organized, so you can find what you need. You can search for help, but you can also submit a request. You'll need to sign in before you do that. And then once you do, you will get the option to add a new ticket. All right. We'll get through sign in. One of the things with submitting a ticket in Phrase that I do like to point out is, okay, request phrase for TMS, terrific. Subject, request type, etc. Is it a question? Is it a bug? Support is 24/7, usually about a half hour before you see the first response, within a half hour, I should say. Issue going there. But also you can add the email addresses of other people who need to be notified and in the loop on this. So you can have your team participate in the troubleshooting if you're working with multiple people, so that everything stays moving forward. Okay. Also on the Help Center, there is a set of links to our training content, to the resource hub, webinars. So everything that's been going on that's been recorded, you'll be able to access from here, and then the upcoming sessions. As I mentioned, for the project manager in the crowd, we'll have something tomorrow, same time, with my colleague Giorgio, and later in the week we'll talk about phrase strings with Alicia. So lots of great information coming up this week around phrase. Reasonably straightforward set of tools from a linguist perspective. Everything that you need to edit your translations, do the review, communicate status, and get on to the next piece of work is right there for you. We're always willing to hear feedback on different parts of the system that you'd like to see improved somehow. So please share that feedback with us. And at this point, I think we've definitely hit the highlights. So I'd like to check, Kate, if there are any questions that have come in through Slido.
Yeah, for sure. We have a bunch of questions in Slido.
Fabulous.
I can share my screen and we can go through them one by one, and I'll read them off if that's cool
Great.
with you. All right,
Yeah, let me stop
fabulous.
sharing here.
All righty, thank you so much. I can answer this first one. Yes, you can have a recording of the webinar later on. It should be up either tomorrow or the next day, just as long as it takes for our team to get it onto YouTube, but it'll be both on the Phrase YouTube channel and on phrase.com. And then second question from Charlie, is there an export import function in the translation interface?
So exporting, importing, I'm assuming there we're talking about exporting, importing the actual translations. Tell you what, let me take back the screen share, Kate, and let me jump into the translation editor.
Absolutely.
And we can go that route. Maybe that is the best way to go forward too. So from the translation editor, let's jump in as a project manager. See, now this is the point where my internet connection starts to get tired. Okay, just grab one of these, open up. Now, if we're talking about the actual file and importing and exporting the file, there are some options. So you can download the source or the target. Your mileage is going to vary heavily on this. And what I mean by that is this is something that's controllable by project managers. So depending on your scenario, project manager may not want you working offline, and you'll need to stay online to do the translation work. So if you are in one of the situations, it's what we have. Otherwise, yes, you can download from here. You have some bilingual file options to take those down, or if you have done some work offline, you want to import those bilingual docx's, you can do that from here. Again, It's a setting that's controlled centrally by the PMs. They may decide to give it to you. They may not. If you want it, you can ask for it. They can always, make a decision on that for you. So hopefully that helps. If not, we'll follow up on that. Okay. Next question.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome. Thanks so much. Next question from Gail. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I've tried importing back a Word file with revision marks and I've never managed. Could you show how to do it?
So the revision marks, I don't believe we take the revision marks. We take the final file. I would recommend that you pop that into a support ticket, because I could be wrong. But it's my understanding is that we don't pull on the revisions, we don't pull on the revision marks. We just take the finalized, what the actual text would be after those revisions are applied.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Next question from Suresh. Is it recommended to use Phrase as a revision tool for single language documents? Should we opt for a different tool for that?
So a revision tool for single language documents, I would say that Phrase is really shines as a translation tool. So multilingual scenario. If you're talking about maintaining and managing your source, we look towards other systems to maintain the monolingual source. So a lot of our customers will deal with range from very sophisticated content management systems like Adobe Experience Manager, or even a Drupal or Contentful, something along those lines, Salesforce Knowledge, Marketo, and treat those as systems of record. In less mature scenarios, you might even have someone who says that they designate a box.com folder or a shared Google Drive folder as their, we'll say, source of truth, and that's where they manage their monolingual source content. So, Phrase TMS is really that transitory effort of managing the translation and driving towards translation quality. So hopefully that's helpful. Happy to talk about that strategy more if you want to expand on that. But I think that's probably giving you a good clue where we're headed.
Awesome, thank you. Next question. I can take this one. How can we join the next webinar? I will drop the link in the chat right now, so you can have the link to join future webinars. But the next question for David is from Karen. Is it better to change a PDF into a Word document when working with it, or is there no material difference?
Oh, there's material difference. I think if you spend more than a half hour in the language industry, you understand that PDFs are a bloody nightmare. And I say that with all love and respect to my friends at Adobe, and I do have friends at Adobe. PDF is intentionally designed to be a static finished product. It really isn't, despite having been submitted to industry standards bodies. No tool does a really great job breaking those things and making it work. There's a lot of things that are nuanced that don't necessarily fit. So if you have the source, the actual source, because no one creates a PDF, everybody creates it in something else, either as a Word document or an InDesign file, or something else that is a really proper text editor or word processor or layout design tool, and then they create the PDF to unleash upon the world. There's a source, so see if you can find that source and work with it, and you will have a much simpler time dealing with change management, dealing with editing issues up front, and then getting translations back. You can then create from there. And if there are layout issues, they will be much simpler to deal with if you're handed back an InDesign package or a docx file than if you're given a PDF that you then yourself have to do desktop publishing work on. So I always recommend to not work in a PDF file format if it's at all avoidable.
Awesome.
I'm gonna get hate mail now, but that's okay. I can deal with it.
I think you can handle it for sure in the PDF haters club. Okay. Gail came back looking for the process of the final file, asking about the Word file with revision marks. So how to, I guess, import back a Word file with a finalized Word file into Phrase TMS.
So one of the things that has to be there is in the project, you have to be granted permission to upload a finalized file. So if you're having trouble with that today, you might be facing down that. So the revision marks, a separate discussion. The rev marks we need to address separately. But being able to upload a finalized file is not something that everyone can do. If we have some project managers in the crowd, pop into the settings here and look at my workflow, and you'll see that there is a specific option for uploading the finalized file. If that is enabled, then there will be a menu option that comes on in the, I think it's in the file menu in the editor. And then it's, if it's not in there, it's in the tools menu if you're looking at the project view, the jobs view. So to get that turned over. There's also a sort of competing and comparable setting for file handover. A lot of times that's sort of a DTP sort of thing from what I see. Other people may have other uses for it, but that does need to be turned on by a project manager before that can happen. So if you've confirmed with your project manager, or if you are the project manager and your workflow does allow upload finalized document, and you're still having trouble, I would please suggest pop a support request out there, and let's get that properly debugged.
Fantastic, thank you. And now our final question is from Rachel, who asks, can you show some of the QA functions in the QA tab?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. From a translation interface, if I run a QA job, don't know how awful my content is right now. So let's see what happens. We'll see what happens. What gets? Ooh, there we go. So we have some things to look at here. See here, I thought I was all proud of myself that we got good things. We'll also look at the project manager settings, just to steal some thunder from tomorrow's session. But just see that I have, all right, maybe I've got some missing terms that need to be addressed. Yeah, okay, I'm not, okay, we can address that. Unconfirmed segment, yeah, okay, that's a good one. More missing terms. Most of this is missing terms and not confirmed segments, because I've got some goofiness in the term base that I attached to this project because I wasn't paying attention and did things in a hurry. Externally sorry, is that a misspelling? Okay, maybe that's a misspelling. And we'll want to take a look at that. Something to call out as you're noticing all these things get pulled in, is there is an ignore flag. Okay, so if I decide that, okay, there's a missing term here, we didn't use one of the approved terms here for start, you know what, I'm the Spanish speaker here, ignore that. Okay, just get on with life, ignore that. So we'll blow past that, right? And you can do those kind of things, and when you're done, you're done. You can rerun the QA job. You can hide the ones that have been ignored, and update the status. So for project managers, or people who are focused on the process, seeing me hit the ignore flag you're kind of going, excuse me, what? What do you mean they can ignore? Yeah, they can ignore. I come back to my project. I'm already in my project settings to manage that. And looking at the quality assurance settings, we're pretty lenient in our defaults. And I did take the defaults. Pretty much everything can be ignored by a linguist, but this is controllable by a project manager. So if you say there is no earthly reason for there to be an empty target, don't let them ignore it and halt the process. So we can say if there's, an issue, a QA issue that you can't ignore, you have to address it, you have to fix it. You can't complete the task. So you'll have to address that segment and fix that segment before you can complete the document, which will then, complete the work. Okay. There's a number of things that are baked in as far as QA. So, looking at length, segment length, character length, spelling, repeating words. We saw term base inconsistencies, if there are specific tag formatting inconsistencies, if there's something goofy in the workflow that's out there, we can flag that. And then anything that really is expressible as a regex, that can be added as a custom check. And then your PMs will have some other options in here for enforcing those QA rules. So hopefully that's a taste of it. The online documentation does go into some depth about what these QA settings do and the impact that they would have on a particular project.
All right, fantastic. That was our last question. So if there are any last minute questions, feel free to throw them in the Slido. We will stay on just for a second here to see if any come through. But if not, just want to thank everyone so much for joining us. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us or your evening with us, depending on where you are in the world. And we hope to see you again soon. And thank you, David, for the thorough demo. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Kate. Thanks, everyone. I know I talk fast, so there'll be recordings and lots of good documentation out there for you.
Perfect. See y'all later.